What if your heart refused to let go, even when the world told you to move on? At Heartland Ranch, where memories live in every corner, Amy Fleming is trying to be strong. But something's not right. A strange feeling keeps pulling her back, like a whisper in the wind, like someone she once lost is closer than ever. Amy wakes before sunrise, the light barely touching the edges of the barn. The sound of horses in the distance fills the quiet air. She steps outside carrying Lindy on her hip. The little girl is half asleep, her head resting gently on Amy's shoulder. This is their routine now. Early mornings, busy days, quiet nights. But even in the peaceful rhythm of ranch life, there's a deep sadness that never truly goes away. Since Ty's death, Amy has kept herself busy with the ranch, with Lindy, and with helping others. But behind her eyes, there's always a storm. She smiles for Lindy, for Jack, for the clients who bring in horses with stories of pain and healing. Yet when the sun goes down, when the lights go off, Amy lies awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if love ever really dies. Jack watches Amy from the porch as she walks toward the barn. His heart aches for her. He's seen grief before. He knows it never really leaves. But Amy's pain feels heavier than most. It's like she's carrying Ty in every breath, in every step she takes. And on this day, what would have been her wedding anniversary, Jack knows it's going to be harder than usual. At breakfast, Lou tries to bring some light into the room. She talks about new ranch projects and updates from Maggie's diner. Tim throws in a joke or two, trying to make Lindy laugh. But Amy is distant. Her plate stays untouched. Her thoughts are far away. Lou reaches across the table and gently squeezes Amy's hand. "It's okay to miss him," she says softly. Amy nods, but says nothing. Later that day, Lindy sits on the grass outside, drawing pictures with crayons. Amy kneels beside her, brushing hair out of her face. "Who's this?" she asks, pointing at a red figure Lindy has drawn, a man in a red shirt with dark hair and kind eyes. "That's the man from my dream," Lindy says, smiling. "He tells me I'm brave." Amy's heart skips a beat. She looks at the drawing. Again. It's strange. The man looks like Ty. But Lindy never met Ty. At least not in a way she could remember. Amy tries to brush it off, thinking maybe it's just her mind playing tricks. Maybe she's projecting her own memories onto her daughter. But something about the drawing stays with her. That night, when she tucks Lindy into bed, the little girl whispers, "He said he's coming home." The next morning, a letter arrives. There's no return address. The envelope is plain, a bit dusty. Amy almost throws it aside, thinking it's junk. But something tells her to open it. Inside is a single piece of paper with a few simple words. "Come to the cabin. You'll understand everything." Amy stares at it. Her hands shake. The handwriting is familiar, like a dream half remembered. Her mind flashes back to late nights at the cabin with Ty, when they'd sit by the fire, sharing dreams and plans for the future. Could this be a cruel joke? A mistake, or something more? She shows the letter to Jack. He doesn't say much, but the worry in his eyes says everything. "It might be nothing," he says carefully. "Or it might be something you need to face." Amy knows she can't ignore it. That night, she sits outside on the porch, the same spot Ty used to sit. She clutches the letter, her heart pounding. The wind picks up, rustling the trees. It almost sounds like a voice. And for the first time in a long time, Amy lets herself cry, not out of pain, but out of hope. A small, impossible hope. Somewhere deep inside her, something has shifted. The road to the cabin hadn't changed. Dusty, narrow, and lined with trees that whispered secrets as the wind passed through them. Amy hadn't driven this path in years. Her hands tightened on the steering wheel, her heart beating faster with each turn. Lindy was safe with Lou for the day. Amy told no one else. This was something she had to do alone. When she reached the old wooden cabin, memories hit her like a wave. The porch still creaked in the same spot. The same swing hung by the window, gently swaying in the breeze. For a moment she stood frozen. This place was sacred, a place where she and Ty had dreamed of their future. Now it felt like time had paused, waiting for her to return. She stepped up to the door, unsure if she was hoping it would be locked or open. It wasn't locked. She pushed it gently and it creaked open. Her eyes scanned the inside. The furniture was simple, dusty, but undisturbed. A fire had recently burned in the small stone fireplace. Someone had been here. Amy? The voice was so soft she almost thought she imagined it. She turned sharply. There, he stood, Ty. Leaner, older maybe, a little worn. But it was him. His eyes met hers and everything else faded away. Amy's breath caught in her throat. She didn't move, didn't speak. Her body felt frozen, her mind trying to make sense of what her eyes were seeing. Amy! It's me. Her knees buckled slightly and she grabbed the doorframe to steady herself. Ty? She whispered, not sure if it was a question or a plea. He stepped forward slowly, hands raised like he was afraid to scare her away. I know this is hard to believe, he said. I didn't think I'd ever see you again either. Tears welled in Amy's eyes, but she still didn't move. Her voice trembled. You died. You died, Ty. I was there. Ty nodded slowly. That's what they told you. That's what I thought too. For a long time. Amy's head was spinning. None of this made sense. She looked into his eyes, trying to find the truth, or a lie. But all she saw was pain, the same pain she carried every day, he explained. A mission in the north had gone wrong. He was injured, badly. But someone found him, an old man, a recluse, living far from towns and signals. He had no ID, no memory at first. The man took care of him, nursed him back. It took months before the pieces started returning, his name, his past, her. But by the time he remembered, he didn't know how to come back. He didn't know if she would still be waiting, or if she had already moved on. Amy stared at him, silent tears running down her face. Why didn't you try to contact me? I did, Ty said, reaching into his coat pocket. He pulled out a small stack of crumpled letters. I wrote so, many times, but I never had the courage to send them. Amy took one from his hand. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. The words were raw, filled with longing, confusion, and pain. He had written to her on every birthday, every anniversary. He had never truly left her, just lost in a way no one could understand. She looked back at him, her voice shaking. You left me alone. You left Lindy. I didn't want to, he said softly. Not for a second. That broke the wall inside her. She stepped forward, slowly at first. Then suddenly, she threw her arms around him. Ty held her like he would never let go again. They both cried, silent, deep sobs of love, loss, and reunion. Time had stolen so much, but in that moment, they had it back. Not perfectly, not completely, but enough to breathe again. The cabin, once filled with memories, now held something new. A beginning neither of them ever thought possible. Outside, the wind carried their silence, heavy with sorrow but touched with hope. Amy had brought Ty back to Heartland, but the ranch didn't welcome him with open arms. Not right away. Jack stayed quiet, eyes heavy with questions he couldn't ask. Lou was cautious, holding her sister close but watching Ty from a distance. Tim didn't even speak to him. For the rest of the world, Ty Borden had been gone too long to simply walk back into their lives like nothing had changed. But someone hadn't forgotten him. Not truly. Lindy. That morning, Amy stood in the kitchen, still trying to process everything. Ty sat silently at the table, hands wrapped around a mug of coffee he hadn't touched. It was quiet. Too quiet. Until Lindy's small footsteps echoed down the stairs. She entered the room, rubbing her eyes, holding her favorite stuffed pony. Then, she stopped. She stared at Ty, not confused, Not surprised, just calm. Amy's heart raced. She stepped forward, ready to explain, to soften the moment, but Lindy didn't wait. She walked to Ty and stood in front of him. "You're the man," she said softly. Ty slowly looked up, his voice catching. What do you mean?" "The man in my dreams," she said. "You were by the river. You told me not to be scared. You had a red shirt like now. You said I was brave." Amy gasped. She hadn't told Lindy anything. Not about the letter, not about the cabin, not about Ty's return. Yet here her daughter was, describing moments only she and Ty knew from the past. Ty's hands trembled. He glanced at Amy, then back at Lindy. "Do you know who I am?" "You're my daddy," Lindy said with a small smile. That was the moment. Everything changed. Ty broke down, silent tears rolling down his cheeks as he reached out slowly as if afraid she'd disappear. Lindy climbed onto his lap and wrapped her arms around him like she had done it 1,000 times before. Amy stood frozen, tears in her eyes. All the years of grief, the pain, the confusion, suddenly collided with a love so pure, it broke her, heart wide open. Lindy began to speak, asking Ty simple questions only a child could ask. "Do you like pancakes? Do you know how to ride horses fast? Will you stay now?" Ty answered each one with a nod, a smile, and more tears. For the first time since returning, he felt like himself again. Not just a man lost in time, but a father, a husband, someone who belonged. Outside, the horses ran along the fence. The ranch was alive again, not just with chores or people, but with something deeper, with healing. Later that day, Lindy showed Amy another drawing, this one newer. It showed 3 people standing under a tree, a woman, a man in red, and a little girl holding both their hands. "This is today," she said. Amy touched the drawing, her fingers trembling. "Did you draw this before or after breakfast?" Lindy tilted her head. "Before." Amy looked at Ty, who had just walked in from the barn. He froze when he saw the picture. It was exactly what had happened, before it even happened. Amy sat down hard on the couch, her mind spinning. Was Lindy dreaming of him all this time? Was there something stronger than memory pulling them together? Maybe some bonds. Father and daughter, husband and wife, can stretch across anything, even time, even death. That evening, Amy and Ty stood on the porch, watching Lindy chase butterflies in the golden light. "She never really lost you," Amy whispered. "She just waited." Ty nodded. "She's stronger than both of us." Amy smiled through tears. "She's your daughter." And, for the first time in a long time, the air at Heartland felt lighter. Like something broken had found its way back. Not fixed, but healing. That night the stars hung low over Heartland, clear, steady, watching. Inside the ranch house everything felt different. Not louder, not busier, just full. Like the missing peace that had haunted every room, every meal, every silence had suddenly returned and quietly taken its place. Ty slept in the guest room that used to be his when he first arrived at Heartland as a troubled teen. Jack had offered it with a simple nod, not saying much but placing clean sheets on the bed himself. Amy stayed up late in the living room, staring into the fire. Her mind raced. How do you accept a miracle that doesn't come with answers? How? Do you trust something that defies reason? She hadn't told anyone beyond the family yet. No one outside the ranch knew Ty was back, and maybe that was for the best, for now. The next morning the sun rose early, painting the sky in soft orange and pink. Amy found Ty already awake, sitting on the porch steps, sipping coffee. He didn't look at her right away, just stared out at the horses grazing in the distance. "I still don't know what to say to everyone," he said quietly. "You don't have to yet," Amy replied, taking a seat beside him. Ty turned to her. "You should know something. Where I was, I didn't just forget, I changed. I had to fight to remember you, Lindy, everything. Some days I didn't even think I'd make it back. Amy looked down, twisting her hands. You did, though. You came back. I didn't know if you'd want me. Amy took a breath, her voice was steady. I didn't stop wanting you. I just stopped believing it was possible. Their eyes met, and it was like years of weight fell off their shoulders in one shared glance. Later, as word spread slowly, carefully, Lou arrived first. Her reaction was half relief, half disbelief. She pulled Ty into a tight hug and then hit him on the arm. You could have picked up a phone, she scolded through tears. Tim was harder. He didn't say much, just looked at Ty, eyes clouded with pain, then walked out to the barn without a word. But Jack waited until nightfall. He found Ty in the stable, brushing one of the older horses. Jack stood there a while, quiet, then finally spoke. You broke this family when you left, but you gave it life again when you came back. Ty turned. I never meant to leave. I know, Jack said softly. That's why I'm still standing here. And that was all they needed. That weekend, Amy decided to take Lindy on a trail ride. Ty offered to come along, but she asked him to wait. This ride was for the two of them, a moment to breathe, to think, to process. As Amy and Lindy rode through the Golden Hills, Amy looked at her daughter and saw so much of Ty in her. The stubbornness, the quiet strength, the way she didn't fear the world but faced it head on. When they returned, Ty was waiting by the gate. Lindy rode up and shouted, Daddy, did you see me? Ty smiled and lifted her down from the saddle. You were amazing, he said, kissing her forehead. Amy watched them, her heart fuller than it had been in years. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring. There were still questions, still hard conversations to have, but in that moment she understood something important. Healing isn't about forgetting the pain, it's about finding the strength to live again, even when the scars remain. As the sun dipped low, Amy, Ty, and Lindy sat on the porch steps. No big words, no promises, just the quiet comfort of being together. The camera would fade out there, if this were a movie. A still frame of a family slowly, rebuilding what was broken, not all at once, not perfectly, but with love that refused to die. And at Heartland, that love is what keeps everything alive.